Hello, hello. Today we're cutting on the weft again, but this time we position the weft right around the apex, all the way underneath the occipital, and I tried to tighten the weft as much as possible. So what we're going to do today is we're going to cut at a 90-degree angle on the weft. So what we've done is I have pulled the hair over, and so we're going to cut on a vertical parting, and we're going to go with the curve of the head. So when we're cutting for the 90-degree response, we're going to create uniform layers that are going to travel from the first guideline all the way down to the bottom until there's no longer any hair to cut. So I'm going to take sections of about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. So the difference with cutting on a 90 is that we will be cutting on top of our fingers and we're projecting the comb underneath. So these two fingers are going to project and this comb is going to lay on top. And notice that I'm still palming the shear, so my thumb is not in the groove. My comb is in my dominant hand, and we call this distribution. So how do I know where to start, how much to pick up, whether to go at a 45 or go at a 45 away? Well, since we're cutting blended uniform line, so this is going to be uniform and this is going to be a traveling guideline. So you're going to distribute, place your 2 fingers underneath, and you're going to come up and we're going to cut about 2 inches. So how do I know that I'm distributing correctly? Place your comb on top of your section, and the way the comb projects, that is how we're going to distribute this hair. So this guideline is going to travel. It's going to be a traveling guideline. So my distribution is going to be straight up at a 90. As I move down to the bottom, the guideline, a piece of this guideline is going to travel. Here is the projection of my hair. As I move down a bit more, this is my projection of my traveling guideline. And it's just going to continue. So this means I'm not over directing the hair. I'm keeping it uniform to the shape of the head. So if my comb projects in this projection, then that is the way the hair is going to project. And as I get to this point, the hair is going to project there. Here, here, all the way to there until there's not any more hair to cut at that point. So that is the projection of how you're going to hold this hair up. So, and I'm doing small verticals so that you still learn in this exercise how to hold the scissors, how to distribute. So we use our fingers and we use our comb to help us distribute that hair. So as I insert my comb, and if you forget how to project that hair and how to hold it up, place your comb at the section you're cutting, and the way the comb projects with the curve of the head, that is how you will hold this hair up. So this exercise is to teach you still how to manipulate your comb, your scissor, distribution, and this will help you learn how to create uniform layers. So we're cutting on top. So once I project, I'm going to drop my fingers so that I can see where I'm cutting on top. And that is my first cutting line. So this will be my guide. So I can go ahead and drop some of this hair forward. And now I'm going to pick up another section. And once again, this guideline is going to travel. So I've added more hair to the previous piece that I already cut so that I have a guideline. So to make sure that I'm holding my hair up correctly, place your comb there so that you see the projection of the way you're going to distribute this hair. So now I'm going to go ahead and distribute, place my fingers underneath, and I will see my guideline about right there. Then I can drop it so that I can see what I need to cut on top. Drop a piece forward, I'm done with that. Now I'm going to marry this piece with the next piece. And I'm going to pull this out of the way. And again, we're cutting on a weft. This exercise is to teach the elevation responses, or the elevation response of cutting at a 90. So again, I can place my comb here, and as you can see, my guideline's gonna still continue to travel, and I've taken a piece of what I previously cut to the new piece, and I have married them together, and I'm going to distribute, and as soon as I can see part of my guideline, which is about right there, then I'm gonna drop my fingers or my hand so that I can see what I'm gonna cut. Then I come back and distribute again just to check my line. And then again, I'm going to drop some of that and keep it for the guideline. And I'm going to add. And we're gonna do this all throughout this exercise. So now notice that I'm moving down as I'm traveling with this guideline, and I'm going with the curve of the head shape. So at this point, my elevation response is still 90 from where the head form is at. So to make sure that you're projecting in the right projection, then I put my comb here, so this indicates where the hair is going to project from. So again, place my fingers underneath, and there's my guideline. Then I can go ahead and drop back down so that I can see what I'm doing. And I am creating some tension so that I don't lose the guideline. So again, I projected from here. The guideline, I'm traveling. And there's my line. And what does this create? A lot of layers, but uniform, meaning that the layers are the same all the way through the haircut. So they're blended layers. All right, so I added a piece, and this time I'm projecting here. So this is where my hair will project from the head form. And do keep the head moist. Okay, now I want to show you something. If you can see that it's shorter here, so in the previous exercise, we did graduation. And so when we did graduation, we already created some layers. So there may not be much to cut. So if you can see, I can see how it looks like only the middle's gonna need to be cut. So it's only gonna be this much. So I'm gonna project out and blend it to that point. So at this point, as I'm getting to the bottom, there may not be as much to cut. And if I want, I can go ahead and pull this over. And you can use your clip if you need to. And I think I put you some flat duckbill clips. And so you can use that to kind of pull your hair over. Jessica, can you come for a second? All right, I'm gonna get my assistant to help hold this hair over because I left my clips in the classroom. So if you'll just hold it like this so that they can see. Okay, so last piece, so project, here's my projection. So wherever I'm laying the comb flat on its surface here, so this is where my next section is gonna pull out from. I forgot to pull a piece from here, so Jessica, I'm gonna, there you go, so that they can see. Okay, so now, like I mentioned before, there may not be much, and there's not. Maybe a tiny little tag. And that's only because we did the graduation already, so the layers were already there at the bottom. Okay, thank you. All right, so then what's gonna happen next, so this one piece has already been cut. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a slice from it as I come to my next section, and I'm going to move this over like so. And I'm going to now pick up my next piece of about an inch, move this over, and I'm just gonna move over until I no longer have a section to pick up. So I'm gonna come back up to the top, and now I'm gonna take about another section, and I'm still palming. And so that you can see, I'm gonna project. So when I place my comb underneath, notice where my fingers are at. I'm projecting from where it grows, and I see it right there. I'm gonna drop it, and I'm blending it with the guideline that I just picked up. There may be some tiny tags. Excuse my dry fingers. I'm saving these next few days of hair cutting before I get my nails done so that you have pretty nails to look at. Okay, so once again, I've added hair from this section that I cut, and now I'm gonna create another guideline here. And will all your haircuts be cut in these tiny pieces? No. This is only because I'm showing you the exercise of how to cut at a 90. So again, I place my comb here and look at my projection. So that's gonna be the projection of the way I'm going to distribute. And there's the guideline. I drop it so that I can see I'm cutting on top of my fingers. So when I'm cutting and I place the comb here, as long as I put good tension in it, then I can drop it. Please be careful when you're cutting here. We always say don't go past the first knuckle because we cut ourselves here. So when I'm cutting, notice that my thumb is moving that top blade. And I don't hear much because there is a little, well, there's a little silencer there, that little bitty knob that doesn't allow me to hear my scissor, make that noise. Okay, and that piece is cut, so I can go ahead and remove some of that. Now, as you get more experience with your cutting, you're gonna find that you may not need as many tiny sections as I'm doing right now as I'm teaching this. And I'm doing the sections that small so that you get as much practice with the scissors and knowing how to not put your your comb down. And do keep the hair moist. If you gotta pick up your spray bottle and re-wet it down a little bit, you can. Okay, so it's already cut here because I'm getting to that point to where my mannequin had already been cut at the bottom. So it's basically gonna be only in the middle that I need to cut. And when you get a little bit more experience, you're just gonna add, oh, sorry about that. Don't wanna lose control. So you see when I get to the bottom, there's only a little bit to cut. Okay, so I can drop this back down. So what do I have? I have some nice flowing layers, and you'll see once you blow dry. So you're gonna continue that pattern until you get all the way to where there's not any more hair to cut. So you're gonna probably get 2 more sections there. But let me show you on this other side, since we've already cut this other side, the way you're gonna check it. So when you check it, I'm gonna have you take all of it, moisten it back down with your spray bottle, keeping the section moist, because if you let it get too dry, you'll miss tags. Tags are little pieces of hair that did not get cut and that you'll have to go back and recheck. So how do I check it? I pretty much bring it all together, almost like if it were a stationary guideline, and I check my lines and I look for tags. So if I don't see any tags, then I'm good, but I do see one. And no matter how long you've been cutting, sometimes we miss pieces, and it could be the way we're standing. And so position's real important as well, to make sure that I'm not leaning more on one side than I am on the other. And it could be maybe I didn't have enough tension. So this is how I want you to check. Now, when you're checking, you're not creating another cutting line. I did see a tag in there. You're making sure you polish up what you previously cut. And there it is. I just saw my tag. Okay. And that's okay. That's why we cross. This is considered cross-checking. So when I cross-check, I pick it all up to make sure that I don't have any tiny little tags. And the one thing that you don't want to do is create a new guideline. Okay, and there's your layering. So you're going to continue to do the same on the other side, and you're going to cross-check it as well. And that is establishing 90 degrees on a weft.